Hello, and welcome to another episode of Between Two Pints. I'm your host, Rob, and with me today is Chris and Sarah from Pleasant Mountain Music Studio.
Yes.
Pleasant Mountain Music, you got it.
Awesome. And I love music, and you run a music school. And like, I while we were getting drunk beforehand and talking about it, we're pretty cut, guys. We were talking, you have a metal choir?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just cut to the good stuff.
Okay, let's get right in.
Right into the good stuff.
Do we cheers? Little
Oh, yeah.
cheers.
Guess to
It's
get
a pleasure
started.
to
All
be
right.
on.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
New pint glasses, everybody.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, so we have this music school. It was born of a desire to leave the kids not in my house learning music lessons and instead push them into not my kids. This is the children that I teach, I should say. I do refer to them as mine, but just FYI, they are not mine. I do not own
You
them.
haven't got them the hard way.
Yeah. Didn't get them the hard way, and the parents take them home after.
Oh,
so
that's like the best kind of
it's
kid.
actually great. I highly recommend it. Rent a child, half an hour, and they pay you. So, but yeah, the pandemic happens. I was like, oh, I gotta clean everything every day, and also I, super anxious. Oh, everything's a mess. There's like not even like one thing out of place. No, in my brain, everything's a mess. So, somehow got the idea that maybe I could like open a studio. So this one over here says very much yes and. And he goes,
Someone's an improv artist.
yes.
And I had been working a tech job in the pandemic, and so had nothing to do and had a lot of money saved
up as one.
And I was like, well, I got to spend it on something.
And that's his.
I know a podcast you can invest.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we got to talking and just
we looked at a couple of places, and they were like, it's Vancouver, so maybe not surprise, super expensive for kind of a small, dingy, weird, maybe was an escort agency before this kind of place.
That also may be my podcast.
Yeah, we actually put in offers at I think 5 different places.
Yeah.
There was one where we would have been between a lawyer and a cat hotel, like an overnight cat boarding place.
Oh, yeah.
That'd have been cool.
And so, yeah, we liked it. And so we had our other third owner. We were in the space and we're like, just sing about how loudly you would sing in a lesson. So she starts singing, and immediately the lawyer is like on the phone to the agent. He's like, this is not going to work. And the cat people.
We were like,
we got complaints at the cat hotel.
Wow.
I was shocked.
That got dark.
Yeah, I was
bad.
if anything, I was like, the cats aren't going to care.
No,
But
they're going to enjoy
the lady
it.
who ran the cat hotel was not
happy.
So
I mean, cats are notorious music critics.
yeah, that's true. Most cats I've had, when I pick up my guitar, they leave the room.
Mine,
Strictly jazz.
yeah, no, it's true because I'll be playing like a beautiful sonata. They jump on the keys and then they bonk, 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 and you're like, all right, guess that wasn't the one for you.
They only like freeform jazz.
Only
Exactly.
no time signature.
So metal choir.
Yeah. So then we ended up in this space in Granville Street.
Yes, Granville and Broadway.
Yep, very important.
2435A Granville Street.
Yep. Yeah.
We're actually right across the street from the new SkyTrain Tower. So the tall, like 40-story
really good
building.
placement.
Yeah.
In like, I don't know, 30 years when the train actually opens.
In
It keeps getting
approximately
delayed.
2 to 17 years.
Yeah. So one of the first teachers that we brought on is Kelsey, and she's classically trained. She went to Berkeley. She plays piano very properly.
Beautifully.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
The first thing our other owners, I don't actually play piano properly, but they very
myself and
immediately
Trucy,
picked up on her form,
her
and her technique and her
was
posture.
glorious.
But then she gets on the mic and she's all metal, and she's like, she's doing the screaming and the
do you
extreme
remember the
vocals.
song that she's? It was
I don't
immediately.
remember. I don't remember what song she sang like in her interview, but it was
The opening note
It was impressive.
was a scream,
And so we were like, well, we don't know what we're gonna do with that, but it's awesome. So we brought her on.
Yeah, we're like,
And-
maybe she'll just teach piano. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And now it's like the word has spread that if you want to learn how to do the extreme vocals, you go visit Kelsey. And so it's awesome because in one room it'll be Sarah teaching like, a classical piece or like a beginner
a little
song.
kid
A little
just doing
kid's
some Three Blind Mice or something.
And then in the next room it's Kelsey's like, "Ugh," it's just like, it's like, no, do it more like this. Go
More
down.
like use a different vowel. Oh,
And they're just like, or they'll be like singing along to like a crazy heavy metal song, and it's
yeah.
and so it was actually Sarah's roommate who wanted to join.
She wanted to be in a choir, but she found, and I believe the word was most choirs to be insufferable.
Too weak.
Yeah, it's either like a proper church choir where you're doing Christian music, which is fine, but not what she's into, or it's like a pop jazz kind of choir, and we're like, well, what would you do? And she's like, I would do a metal choir. And so we're like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. We got Kelsey to teach it. We got the first student interested, and then we just sort of weirdly we posted on Reddit just that this is a thing we're doing, which is now I think if I tried to do it again, they have me like they would flag me as self-promotion, but that one sort of snuck in under the radar.
Thank you, Reddit.
We did it. We had like an info session that ended up being the worst storm that I remember in Vancouver. It was about two years ago.
Yeah, that was 22.
November
22.
Really bad storm, and we actually had to. We didn't want to postpone it because I'm like, if there's people coming and they show up and we're not here, then we'll never see them.
Yeah.
Again. But we arranged a second session just in case anyone missed the first session, and we had
they came out of the woodwork.
Yeah,
it was like 17 people.
Yeah, 16 people I think showed up for each of the two sessions, and then we're just like the info sessions of like, this is what we're planning on doing.
But we haven't got a set schedule.
Yeah, and then the class has just been running since then.
It's grown.
In September we split it into two. We have our beginner and intermediate level metal choir. And we do songs.
So you have like your iron choir and your steel choir.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. Yes.
And then we need our third level. Our
the
adamantium.
Epic. Yeah.
Yeah. Adamantium choir.
Platinum.
Mithril.
Yeah. Ooh, Mithril. Yeah, that's
the
good too. Yeah. So we have a few sort of. We bought some arrangements. There was a guy who made this crazy version of Nothing Else Matters from Metallica with like overlapping harmonies and like he really messed with the structure a little bit, but it's really fun to sing. And then we've got
incredible.
Yeah, it was really neat. It's actually it's a testament to the songwriting actually of that particular tune that it lent itself so well to a choral arrangement in a way that doesn't feel like contrived, like it actually, because I hear them sing because I'm teaching piano and trumpet in the room down the hall, and I'm like, ooh, my ears perk up. But yeah, it was like the layers of the different voices, the timing. Yeah, it's just really good. So yeah, we bought a couple, and also we've I guess Kelsey has arranged some.
Yeah, we've had Kelsey has arranged some. We've had one of our other instructors who's at VCC for composition. He did a couple of the other songs that we've done. And we actually had one of our students really wanted to do a song from Devin Townsend, who is from the Vancouver area. So she wrote the arrangement. She came in and she's like, can we do this song?
I literally wrote it.
She's like, I got the software. I learned how to use it. And now we have sheet music for this song. And we're like, yeah, of course.
What are we going to say no?
No, we have to at least try it. And then it turned out that her arrangement of it was quite good. And the song, it was a song called Kingdom, by the way, by Devin Townsend.
Song rips.
It's a really good song.
Links.
Please, yes.
So we've just been picking away, finding new material. We have our next session starting up this Thursday. So by the time this airs, it will probably be too late to sign up. But if you send us a message, we might be able to sneak you in. And then we also will be starting a new session of the metal choir and ensemble in April. So we kind of do it in like 3-month kind of sessions. So you can sign up, and then we try to have some kind of performance or something at the end of each session.
Yeah, it's always a big hit because we do we do an adult recital at the studio. So it's not that kids aren't welcome. It's just that adults aren't invited to the general recital. But I was an adult student for a long time. Like I learned most of my piano as an adult, not as a kid. So I understood the things like the concept of good and bad as an adult is really hard to overcome because you're like, this sounds terrible. And your teacher's like, yeah, but that's because you don't know how to play it yet. And you're like, but it's garbage. And it's like, okay, well, just go home and practice on it. But that's what learning can be like sometimes as an adult. So it was nice that we were able to bring that into the mix as
And
PMM.
when there's like a 12-year-old who's playing circles around you, and you're like, don't.
Yeah, you know.
I've played online video games. And then they turn the mic on, and I'm like, in the fuck, like, all right, man, thanks, way to go, like Space Marine, right? You're like, whoa, thanks, brother, and you're like, oh, way to go, buddy. It's like, did I just have my like ass saved by a 12-year-old? It's like,
oh, there's a very real
technically
chance.
it was the 12-year-old's little brother
Playing on his account, right?
Like my buddy and I recently gave up single player games and to play multiplayer.
Yeah.
And there's this game, Space Marine, where it's a 3-person team, and it's exactly that. We're like, we'll like let a third person in, and we got to be like not sweary and stuff because we don't know that.
We don't know. They could be.
Yeah. No, but it's also like, especially sometimes we're like having someone like come in and like, way to go, buddy, way to kick out, but.
But.
I feel like there's nothing you could say in a game chat that those kids aren't saying to each other.
Yeah, I know, but I want to, at least
you don't want to be the one.
They should understand adults don't think swearing around kids is great.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I guess
completely. It's the same reason when we have that birthday party that it was just like the most sweet, like 10-year-old kids, 8 or 10-year-old kids, and they're like, we want to at the studio. Oh, we want to like sing some music. So Chris is like, yeah, sure. What do you want? And the parents are in the room at the time, but they're all at the back, sort of having some beverages and enjoying some alone time with adults. And so Chris is like, all right, yeah. What do you want to put on? What was it called?
Well,
it was very innocuous.
So it started off. First of all, by the way, we do hosted karaoke parties at Pleasant Mountain Music. They're a great time. And so we were private hosted karaoke
Hopefully
parties.
you can cut me a deal. I can do my like birthday
Oh,
party.
yeah.
We'll do a Rob's birthday there. So this kid was like, it was his 11th birthday.
11th, yeah.
And they started off with like kids songs, and it was like something potato, where literally the only lyric of the song was potato. It's like potato. I don't even remember.
And they would sing along.
And they were having a great time.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, we're going to put on some song by like Big Dog, something. And I'm like, oh yeah, Big Dog, whatever. I throw it on.
It's like blue.
And it's like hose, and like, it was really vulgar.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at the parents, and they didn't really seem to care too much. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, first of all, the kids picked the song.
I did not put this on. Yeah.
They already knew this song.
It's totally acceptable to throw children under the bus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm throwing them under the bus if anyone asks.
And then they started wanting to do Eminem songs, which is like, I know sometimes on karaoke they'll like blur out the swears, but sometimes they don't. And so it was like, okay, these kids are just fully swearing Eminem karaoke, but it was so fast that they could barely even keep up. So it wasn't that big a deal.
It was just a lot of whiplash to you think to go from like Blues Clues to like, we're going full on rap. We're rapping.
We're gonna jump back to karaoke stories in 20 seconds.
Yes.
All staying in the episode though.
Excellent.
But as a film guy, the color of your rim light does not match the background light, and it's driving me insane.
Oh, geez.
So I got the app open, but we're gonna. Oh my god, there it is.
So much
I'm
better.
So sorry. Okay.
I knew something was off. Something was off for sure.
It was because I was like, oh, their rim light should match the little blue lightning bolt. And okay,
That is an
it's
awesome
better. It is.
light,
No, I'm very proud of
by
my
the way.
Amazon blue light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Back to karaoke stories.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you got to be. Also, children karaoke would be terrifying. I would not want to be responsible, or at least get waiver from parents. Like,
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's why we made them be in the room.
Yeah.
You cannot leave them here. We are not taking
my whole defense was like, these kids already know these songs. I'm
Yeah.
not giving them anything here that they haven't heard before. And
But
I just said, don't sing the swear words if it comes
And they
up
were
on
really
the-
good about
they
that,
were pretty good
actually. They're
about
like,
it.
okay, we won't sing the swears, even
Right.
though you do sometimes wonder if they're like,
And
maybe.
and then they swear, and you're like, you little shit.
Little shit. Because that's the age too when you really start to learn about the swears. And you're like, I want to use it all the time. can't say the swears around the parents. Anyways, that was an entertaining little afternoon event.
Yeah. Of all the things about that event that it was trying to make it work, because we don't usually do the karaoke parties in the daytime,
Right.
because they overlap with our lessons. But this was like for a kid, they didn't want to do it at like 9 at night, so we're like, all right, we'll try and make it work. And then I was like, that was what I was worried about. I didn't even think about the lyrical.
No, yeah, the lyrical content
of
was
the
like,
song.
So just to clarify, if I do have we're allowed to drink, right?
oh yeah, fully.
It's like I had a karaoke party for my birthday, but it was like last minute, and it's in this tiny room. There's only
Yeah.
5, but it was so funny because I was trying to sing "Symptom of Being Human" by Shinedown,
Mhm.
and I'm like low, 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 but then everybody and even myself could hear the alcohol kick in as like suddenly I go up 1 octave and get
yeah.
way better, and I'm like, wow, because I'm like I halfway through the song, I'm like, I really wish I had another song, and then suddenly
Yeah.
the tequila starts
Regrets.
right, and you're like, wow, okay,
Okay, we're doing this.
yeah,
Yeah, so we aren't allowed to sell alcohol.
So we
but
don't.
You can
makes
Right.
it even cheaper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can just bring your own, and
Kind of just, it's like renting a hall,
Yeah.
really, like just a space. And
Yeah.
then,
we could apply for individual permits to like event permits, but the groups aren't like big enough to make.
They
it
are
worthwhile.
not.
I feel like especially because in Vancouver, like
Yeah,
this town is getting brutal.
it's
Yeah.
expensive. Yeah,
And
let's focus
Yeah.
because like I'm here to promote you guys for.
oh yeah,
totally
sorry.
talking about like drinking later, and I love like everybody. Trust me that the fact that they don't sell booze at karaoke is better than that they do, because if they did, you wouldn't be able to bring your own.
Yeah.
you can bring your own.
You can
That's
bring
the
your
key.
own.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
But like you don't just do metal. And
No,
you don't just do
no.
karaoke. And in fact, I heard you had a wonderful walkthrough video filmed.
Yes. when we first opened, Rob was kind enough to come and film us. So if you go to our film rentals page, you can watch the walkthrough of the video. Or,
High quality.
the video that
Very high
Rob made. Yeah.
quality.
I had incredible. The talent was really difficult to work with. He was such
I
a
believe it. I believe
he like
it.
wouldn't come out of his trailer for an hour.
Well, what was happening was Rob was at the top of the stairs, and I'm walking up the stairs saying, "Hey, welcome to the place," and Winding getting tired, getting like, "Okay, so now that I'm at the top of the stairs, we got this room."
Whoa, I've done so many stairs.
Might have been the 15 takes we did.
I think after a couple takes, I'm like, I'm just gonna start like four
Four
steps down. I'm gonna start at the bottom of the stairs.
But you do like totally normal music
Yes,
lessons. Like
yes.
anybody listening, and like I
Yeah.
have to admit, your location is fantastic.
We couldn't,
Yes.
I don't think I would have ever in a million years guessed that Granville and Broadway would be where we end up, because like
Yeah.
for a long time, that was like all the super fancy, zhuzhy, like art galleries and like collectibles and antiques. And I was like, they'll never let a music school in here. Like, and then it turns out just a building needs to be empty for about 3 to 5 years before someone's
Just let
like,
anyone rent it.
anybody, please, for the love of God, music, yeah, whatever.
It's a lot like being single.
Yeah.
There might be some overlap there. And our neighbor, bless her heart, isn't a big fan. But we are at least, we're civil with one another. And I think she would just wishes the whole building was
Yeah.
hers and that she
We're
didn't
on
have
the
to share.
we're on the second floor above an art gallery.
Yeah.
So our hours don't overlap too much because she closes at 5, and we usually don't.
That's
start
usually
till about
really
2
when
or
we get
3.
started, after school
Um,
hours. Yeah.
So it hasn't been that much of a problem, but yeah, she would definitely prefer having no neighbors.
Although the one complaint we got that stands out was actually another local guy. I think it was from the Invisible Orange. I
Oh
think
yeah,
that
Mayo.
was Mayo's lesson. He was practicing some screams, but because it was just him and Kelsey at the studio for an early lesson, and I'm gonna guess like 2 PM, she had the volume up a little louder, and so he was really going for it, like, "Rrr," but trying to get it. So she's like,
Yeah.
no, go again, "Rrr, rrr, bleh," doing all these sounds. And so we get the most polite email from the landlord being like, I would just like to forward you this concern from your downstairs neighbor. And it's like the words, something like, I'm not sure if something is going wrong upstairs or if
Basically, it's what the
bad
hell-
things
what the
are
hell
happening.
doing?
Yeah.
I thought you were a music school, not like a yelling school.
Yeah. And so we were like, we are so sorry. We apologize. It's heavy metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do
So-
put most of the screaming
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
And we actually did have to move our contemporary vocalists. So we do like classical voice, jazz voice, but in particular, if you think of your belting, big note kind of sounds, your Celine Dion's and your Mariah Carey's, and who would be a more relevant?
Freddie Mercury?
No, more to date.
Oh, today. I mean,
An Ariana Grande, perhaps, or
I
other.
love also that her name
Oh,
is Ariana
Sia.
Grande, and she's
Yes.
so tiny.
And she's
Yeah.
tiny. Yeah. And Sia.
yeah. If you want to fly like a chandelier.
Yeah. They have
I
to
won't
go.
attempt to do that.
I won't attempt to do that. They have to also not have lessons early because they're actually louder than
Yeah,
like
That's the
anybody
loudest.
on piano, anybody on
Yeah.
guitar. Just because like you literally stand there and you fill your lungs up and to the back of the room. So I do love that. So they go. Most of them are with our third owner, Chersey. So she's their specialist in the contemporary voice. But yeah, we have a lot of fun. I think there's worse ways to spend our time.
Yeah.
I have a deep and burning desire to shoot an interview with Kelsey, get her with one of my fantasy cloaks, like Aragorn out of the Prancing Pony pipe, come in. Hi. So you want to know how to scream?
Yeah, pretty much.
So she actually
I'm intrigued, to be honest.
she got featured in the Georgia Strait as a what did they call it? Get to know your local
metal coach.
And
yeah,
that was kind of what she was doing. She had a microphone and it was all dark in the room and she was all
they had like a lot of contrast.
Does she drink beer?
No, because it's not sweet enough. We've had some beverages together in the past, and she doesn't like wine because it's too bitter.
Buckle up.
Maybe
Buckle
get
up.
some soju or something.
How about homemade strawberry or cranberry cider?
Maybe that would do this.
Because I got about 23 liters of each.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, it was like super awkward because like I'm doing a film project with friends.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the film industry. I have no money right now, but I can make cider and beer.
That's worth more than money.
Well, you can't just go to the store and buy cranberry cider, especially
This is true.
if you're an adult. You don't want super sweet. Like I can make it sweet. I have multiple sweeteners.
Okay.
I have brewed for 20 years. I know.
Yeah, you know what you're doing. I love that.
You don't want to make like a grower.
That's why I stopped drinking growers at age 20. Like that is just
once it's come out your nose, never.
Accurate.
I'm not kidding. but like the cranberry cider is like 9%, super sour and dry, and like that to me is like I know it's not ready. It's 2 months. 2 months. I just started, but it was
a reason to come back.
We'll do another episode.
We'll do something neat in 2 months.
No. Hey, I'm such like just because the problem is like I love the recipes and I love the doing it. I don't drink that much. Like 2 beers is about it.
Great, yeah. But then you're like 23 liters is not 2 beers.
And so that's why like I'm paying my film friends in booze. But also because you can't just buy like really dry cranberry cider at the store or like strawberry cider. We're probably gonna sweeten it. I gotta talk to some people.
Oh yeah.
But if your friend Kelsey, like maybe she wants some sweet strawberry cider.
You might be into it. Yeah.
I don't actually need to know how to scream either. I've actually had scream training in the army. So I have when I was teaching English in Japan to children, I was able to knock children over with my voice.
Nice.
Only. No. I mean like
little.
Let me clarify.
You just need to because they'd be running around in circles and we all be laughing. And if you just shout their name as they're turning,
it's just
shout their distraction, and then
short circuits their brain,
and then they just fall over, and it was
nice.
Great.
Yeah, we have fun. So but
to go back to your question about everything else that we offer at the studio, we have all the major instruments. Guitar, piano, drums, violin,
voice,
ukulele, bit of everything, sort of from beginner to professional.
And then the thing that actually our drummer, who is incredibly talented, he's worked with Scrap Arts. They do the drumming on
homemade instruments.
Like it's really cool what they do. And he's going to get his doctorate in percussion, which I think is not a very common.
Dr. Drums.
Yeah, Dr. Drums. Like, can you believe it? Like, how cool is that?
That's gonna get him laid.
Right? Yeah.
Specifically performance too. I believe.
Performance, yeah. So in performance techniques, but because he's just such a ready hand with like so many different things, I want to say it was because of the pandemic, but maybe it was before that. We get a lot of requests for the UFO, the hand pan. Which is this like disc shape. It's like an inside out steel drums. So you play with your hands and it's got the most wonderful arrangement of sounds. It's very soothing. It's very
to Wreck Beach. You've seen someone just
dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's like, and you could just hear, this really, I should do some chakras with this or build some chakras. There's words for that I don't know, but so he will teach that. And so we've actually had a couple of times, Gantar Veloka from Granville Island has come up, and they just like trundle up the hill with all these drums. And Jay's like, "Oh yeah, I can play that. Oh yeah, I can play that." And so we'll get some folks in. We do a session. They're all playing these. It's the most cool sound when you're in the other room because
Yeah.
you're doing work or whatever. And it's just like this like gentle tones from across the hall come in. So that's the drum side of things. And then just recently, actually, we had enough people to request a little band, a little
Yeah.
rock band experience. That's what we call
the
it.
adult rock band experience.
Yeah.
That one's good because I get to play drums. So we had 2 guitars and a bass, and then our guitar instructor, and we didn't have drums. So I'm like okay on the drums. I'm like, as long as I'm better than the guitar students are at guitar, it'll
Then we're
work.
okay. Yeah.
Well, you can teach them too that like every band is desperate for like a D&D group.
Yeah.
And much
Drums are
like
healers.
Yes.
Everyone
Yeah.
needs
everyone
one.
needs one.
If you get a set of drums and a vehicle, you can be in 4 bands by the weekend.
By the weekend. Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you can play, yeah.
How- just out of curiosity, how long would it take me to learn basics of drums? Because I have a vehicle. I don't have my drums.
I bet you if you practiced a lot, I would say within like maybe 4 to 6 months you could
Just
play
stick with, like, a punk rock. Punk rock.
easy drums, but enough to play like well enough with a band as long as it's not too complicated in the band.
And I had make
wouldn't-
alcohol.
Yeah.
That's a big
already
plus,
that's
yeah.
a big plus.
Especially if you bring the alcohol, but also offered to
To drive.
to drive to DD.
I got a concussion last year, so like I've had to be careful because I found
Oh,
that
yeah.
I used to be able to do like 8 drinks
Mm.
and be fine.
Mhm.
Now 3 drinks and I'm
Mhm.
blackout drunk.
Yeah.
Thank God I'm cool when I'm blackout drunk. Like I'm not like I'm at least one of those like I'm one of those drunks where it's like, man, you guys are the best. Like I'm
Right,
so happy.
yeah.
Like it's just because I've had friends who get bad when they're drunk.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like because I had my friends, I'm like,
Scary, yeah.
I was like, wow, like, oh, thanks for taking care of me. I'm sorry, it's so tough. And they're like,
Sorry, yeah.
they're like, no, you were awesome, dude. You told us how great we were, and then we took you to Wendy's, and you were so happy.
And you were just like really happy.
I was like, oh well, okay.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
So, okay,
So, yeah.
Ballpark. We may have to cut this part out because you may
Okay.
not like these questions. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard. But like,
Ooh.
let's say it's okay to the viewers listening. It's 2025.
Mhm.
Maybe you're like me and you're like, hey, I want to like get better at an instrument. I want to either learn piano, mostly to sing, or I want to
Mhm.
like, get guitar. As an adult, maybe I want, what is it? 1 lesson a week is the normal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's the ballpark range price
Oh
of
yeah.
like lessons, just so that people can know?
Oh, totally. Well, and this is like one of the most common questions we ask. They're
Yeah.
like, what lessons do you teach and how much are
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
So we set our rates at about just a little higher than, let's say, your Long and McQuaid or your Tom Lee Music, the other 2 big heavyweight hitters in town. They do have the advantage of also being national chain and they sell stuff, which we don't. So we
Yes.
only do lessons and we don't rent any equipment. So
And
we
we're
do,
cooler.
and we're super cool. Love those guys. We do a little differently, but we're $40 a half hour. So if you did an
Very
hour
reasonable.
a week sets you back $80 a week, which is very much, I think, within most folks like their pocketbook range.
That's also roughly how much therapy on BetterHelp costs.
Oh my God.
That's good to know. You can
Music is
instead
kind-
you can just play guitar.
It's just right. Have you heard about sad songs? I hear they say so much.
That's actually a thing though. I've read there's like it's like playing music like reduces your pain or like
Mm.
increases your pain tolerance, like
Mm.
reduces
Oh.
pain. The weird stuff.
Yeah, where
Um,
weird things happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's kind of where we sit with our range. And then the classes, they just depend on like the number of students. So
Mhm.
anywhere from like $30, $35 to $40, but then it's a group class, so there's other people. And then it'll be like 75 minutes or like 90 minutes, an
So
hour
like
and a half.
$30 for half. Sorry, 30 group classes are like $30 for an hour.
Yeah, for like an hour
Yeah.
or hour and
Okay.
15.
So I, like,
yeah.
as a cheap guy, I'd totally go for the class.
Yeah, totally. But
Also
then,
meet people.
You know,
And it's also a better starting off point for some people. Sometimes the idea of just like sitting
you and another person.
you're sitting down with someone who's like an expert on guitar and you're like, I don't play the guitar. It's
What are
It could
these?
be a bit intimidating,
Yeah.
but if you're like in a group of people who all of you don't play the guitar,
Mhm.
but other people go the other way. They're like, why? I don't want to be with
I
the
don't want
group. I
anyone to
wanna
hear
be
me
by
ever."
myself
Yeah.
in my room with the instructor.
I
So
feel like saving 50% on the price is
Well,
enough for
that's
me. Like,
exactly,
you feel-
so-
and the group scenario is, it's
yeah, so
Totally.
that's why we have both to appeal. And some people find that, and this is especially true in the metal choir. Once they've started singing with the group, they also want to do their own private lessons just so
Right.
that they can
'Cause they're like,
progress. So
"Oh, I
if they
kinda like
feel maybe
this."
like they're a bit behind or there's a technique. So we do in the metal choir, we do sometimes fit in a sort of round of extreme vocals. But when you're doing like 10 people and they're all just going around the circle going, like you don't get a lot of
Yeah, that's
your-
not a lot of practice.
yeah, not
like
a lot
as
of
an
practice, so
individual.
you could book your own session
Session.
with Kelsey.
I
Just
could
Yeah.
start like a men's mental health group with this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Scream your way to healing or something. Who knows? I guess Tears for Fears though. They cornerstone on that.
Is it-
Shout. Shout.
Shout it all out.
Yeah.
So do you guys, because I know where you're located, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have parking.
Yes,
We do.
So yeah, in the back of the building, there's a parking lot that we have passes you can put on your car. There's a few spots that are designated for like customers. There's 4 businesses in the
We all share
that
the
we all
same
share
back
the
parking
lot.
lot. Yeah.
But if the other businesses are closed, we can park in their spots
And
unofficially.
Yeah.
for the people listening who hopefully are customers,
Mhm.
what are like, so like if I'm booking lessons in the evening, that's
Mhm.
Yeah.
where it's like they're likely to be, because like, man, driving in Vancouver, like I know, because I this was a loaded question. I knew you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I came and
You
shot
know
with
that,
you,
yeah.
you were like, "Oh, we got parking." I'm like, "No way, you have
You
parking
do
in
not.
Vancouver?"
Shut your filthy mouth.
So
Yeah.
you'll have to fight off with the DoorDash people who are camped out.
They're
They've-
always-
they've learned where those parking spots are.
The-
That
yeah.
they're just waiting to
The
get their
DoorDash,
order.
they know. Yeah, all of the those delivery. But we also have, and it warms my heart, about once a week, we have bike racks at the back because
Mhm.
Vancouver is actually quite a cycling oriented city as well. As much as you wouldn't peg a city that rains like 300 days a year, but you know what? It's warm. You don't have to shovel rain.
Yeah.
So we have these music notes in the back that were designed by
My dad.
someone's father,
Yeah.
Chris's dad.
You guys have pictures?
I do. I have one of you and your dad,
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
very pleased with
All
your
right.
work.
Well, there are likely pictures in the YouTube version of this,
Nice.
right next to you.
Excellent.
Right now.
Yes.
Make a list of everything we need.
Yeah,
to
make
send
a
you
list.
and
Write that
we'll-
down.
Write that down. Write that down. Yeah. So my dad is a welder. He like when I was growing up, he was a trade welder and then became a welding instructor. So he didn't actually get to weld as much because he was instructing it. So now that he's retired, any chance I get to give him a project that
it's his
is
favorite thing.
oh well,
yeah.
it's like anytime you can give your dad a present that's like something for him to do is like a primo present.
That's
So
premium.
I was like, I was home for
We
Christmas.
Go home for
and
Christmas.
I'm like, Dad, your Christmas present is I need you to make me 3 music note bike racks.
he was honest to God,
Yeah.
like,
He had to go to Home Depot or to Canadian Tire and buy a new like portable welding machine. And he said that was the best day of his life since his wedding. Was getting this welding machine, which
did he like,
includes the days me and my brother
and your
were
brother
born.
were born.
did he like look at your mom and then said, my
It's
wedding.
After my wedding. After my wedding. Yeah,
After my wedding. Honestly, that may have happened.
Yeah.
But we're just so pleased. And then everyone in the neighborhood got wind of it. So he apparently had a couple of little side projects while he was doing our bike rack music notes. Some neighbors, I gather, came by and were like, oh, yeah.
I forget what it was,
Could you
but
just
they
do us a little thing? And
they
he's
had
like,
something
oh, yeah.
broken and he like
He
zapped
just
it back together.
Got it back together.
Yeah.
So I love it. It's usually Tuesdays because when I'm better from my knee surgery, I will be biking. Teacher Kelsey bikes, and then also on Wednesday, teacher Carla, who teaches violin, she one of her students bikes. So some days I come in and there's this little gang of bikes
Yeah.
all locked up. I'm like, oh, look at us go. So but we do have parking as well, which is unheard of for a lot of places.
Hmm.
Free parking. But if the lot's full, there is like on street parking on like I want to say like 7th and
Yeah.
Granville Street after hours. So we're pretty accessible on the
Yeah.
driving and biking and foot front.
And if you're watching this after 2027, the SkyTrain might be open,
It might have
but it
opened.
might not be. They took the date off the website because
Yeah,
it was 2025, and then it was
the hell?
2026, and then it was 2027,
Oh
and
my
now
Now
God.
it
it's
just says coming soon. And I totally understand why.
Yeah.
Because someone's writing in every day being like, so what's the opening date? And they're please get off our back.
Yeah.
We're digging up the surf underneath the ground.
Leave us alone.
Leave us alone. We're
Apparently
a
there-
modern miracle of engineering.
It is though, really.
It
Like,
really, truly is.
Apparently, there's a new train opening in Toronto, and they're like, "We're gonna tell you when we're 3 weeks away, and that's the
That's it.
next time you're gonna hear from us."
3 weeks from opening, you will know about it, and nothing more. I just think that I fully appreciate that vibe.
Yeah.
'Cause
I mean,
sometimes
if we all learned something from Lord of the Rings, you got to watch out for Balrogs. You dig too deep.
Yeah.
And that's just going to make property prices go up even higher in Vancouver.
I'm like, whoa. Yeah. So that's the parking. So what else what do you got?
I guess, yeah. Like,
Heavyweights.
well, yeah. So my New Year's, trying to be better and all
Hmm.
that stuff. And unfortunately, the film industry's fallen apart. So one of my is more like work on finding regular work. If it
Mm.
wasn't that, it was like, oh, I'd love to learn piano,
Hmm.
but I'm in my 40s.
Totally.
So impossible, right?
Absolutely not. That is actually a great time. I specialize in folks that come back to music or just start for the first time. Fully fledged adults. I
love how you didn't say old people.
No, no, because then that might include me, and I refuse to accept my age. So, and I
Just don't make eye contact.
So my guy says, "Ugh." I just think that it's one of those things where it's unlike sports, although some sports are friendly to folks at any age. Eventually, you know what, your body it breaks down the time, etc. But if your fingers are in good shape or your voice, or you can whack a
Mhm.
stick onto something, you can do music until you're like ancient. So no time is a bad time to start. I used to, when I was teaching for myself as a just self-employed single independent contractor, I think my Craigslist ad was something like, it's never too late and you're never too old to learn music. And I was like, oh God, you could tell that I was like a theater kid that was in jazz band and just like eager beaver. Can I join in a thing? That right here.
Well, I can double up on that. So I had a concussion recently and was reading about brain health.
yeah.
And both music and dance
Hmm.
are like
Oh.
super good for your brain, and like especially like for older people
Mm.
to keep it like prevent yourself from
Yeah.
getting older.
Yes.
So I'm going back to swing dancing, which is it's like rough because you go alone and like, man, those 6-year-old women, they're aggressive. Like, I've been asked if I'm a pilot like 8 times.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm not,
it's
but I can act like
yeah,
one.
no, but music is another big one.
I didn't know that about
yeah.
dancing. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, because it's like, especially partner dancing, it's like 2 people moving in a 3-dimensional space is actually a staggering
Oh.
amount of mental math.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is it's really good cardio.
Yes.
There's other ones where it's all like it's like sexy, and I'm not really good at being sexy. I'm kind of awkward, but like swing dancing's like all golly gee, and
Yeah,
and
it's just
yeah.
yeah.
I went to a couple of square dancing at the Wise Hall. Square dancing at the Wise Hall, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Look that up. It's awesome. And yeah, not only that, but they're like, all right, we're going to do this complicated dance that we're going to teach you in about 5 minutes. And then we're going to do the dance for like 15 minutes. And you're like, oh my God, I don't remember. And then I'm over here. And,
And
then,
now I'm over
and then I
here.
got to go around and switch partners. And you're also trying to like not bash into the other people. And then you're also trying to like, look at people. it's I could definitely see
Your brain
it's,
does a whole heck of a lot of processing
Yeah.
that that's when those robots and like, look, we built a robot, and you're like, make it walk
Yeah.
upstairs. It's like precarious. Okay. And then you're like, can it dance? No. that's
It's a lot, and especially like dancing alone. Okay, whatever, you can do whatever you want. You can't partner dancing because then your like brain has, and I feel it too. We're
Mhm.
like, because like especially I went like 2
Yeah.
months after the concussion, and I went to the lesson, and normally there's like a lesson for 45 minutes. And then
yeah.
the lesson I was done after. Like my brain was like, all right, buds, you've been like calculating trajectories and
Yeah.
Yes. And keeping time. And yeah, I love there was So I do a lot of classical piano and occasionally similar training, conservatory training for trumpet as well, which isn't for everybody, but some folks, and I will say, shout out to the Royal Conservatory of Canada. They've done a great job of like updating their curriculum. So it isn't like bunch of, I hate to say it, stuffy 17th century Austrians. I mean, they did make good music, but I don't need to only know their music. There's been a few other composers since then.
Have there though?
Has anyone ever?
Isn't that like Austria's cheap national export besides Arnold?
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. It's Mozart and yeah, I think Mozart. I can't remember.
Music peaked at the Sonata.
The Sonata. There is nothing since then.
It's like sonatas and Bieber, and that's
Yeah,
it.
I'm not Bieber. What else do you need? Yeah, so it's I forget where I was going with
Bieber
that,
wrote a sonata, we'd lose our mind.
a Bieber, a Bieber, a sonata. No, it wouldn't work.
But no, it's not.
No, it
I'm
doesn't
going
quite
there.
work.
It's not gonna work.
Yeah. What was the? What was the?
What was the question?
What was the question
No,
again?
it's okay. No, I got lots.
Oh, great.
So next
Perfect.
questions are musical instruments.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on musical instruments, because I was actually talking to one of my previous guests, Dave Chick, which you should watch those episodes. They're great. He's a wonderful human being, not just because he's a sound guy, but because he's a wonderful human being. I see you, Dave.
He's listening.
So I learned to play the guitar when I was like a teenager. It's great, campfire guitar, mostly to sing.
Yeah.
I regret not learning. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't lurk nearly enough when I was younger. And now that I'm older, it feels wrong.
You can't start lurking.
You can't start in your 40s. It's not an activity you can just. It's a real oversight. We'll cut that.
Yeah,
we'll
no,
cut
no,
that.
we're keeping it all.
That was gold.
But,
Don't cut anything.
I wish I'd learned piano because, like, now with like VST plugins and synths and stuff, you can do like you can play anything. And actually, Dave Chick told me the only thing you can't play with like a MIDI keyboard is guitar. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, I was like, dude, I would trade in a heartbeat. I'd rather be able to play trumpets and orchestras and like all these crazy instruments, like digital instruments. Like guitar's just kind of boring now.
It's I think that's why guitarists famously have all these pedals, because then you can listen to all these sounds.
Also, guitar is tricky because it's like the grid, right?
Yeah.
So everything is like a shape.
There's an XY axis.
You can play the same note in different spots. And a piano is just one across.
It's just the
and
Y
then
axis.
one note of each, and it's just a line.
It's elegant.
And they have the line, and then you have the staff, and it's just it's a bit simpler.
Whereas like guitars, like let's just overly complicate the crap out of this
and
stuff.
it's like this shape is this chord.
like,
But also, this shape is this chord.
Yeah.
I mean, I do love the guitar for that.
Oh, yeah.
And me, as strictly as began my understanding of music through trumpet, which is a single line of melody, keeps it very straightforward. And then piano, but again, it's only like either you go higher or you go lower. There is no like going up or down, closer to the sound hole, further away, like that.
Yeah.
I was like having a time of trying to figure out how to make the guitar work, because I was like, how do they do it? But then that's the beauty of it, is the shapes. You can just do shapes. There's no hacks on the piano, really. You kind of just have to do it. And maybe some people would disagree with that, but
If I could go back and tell my younger self what I should focus on, I would say it's playing and singing. Not just like songs, which like I did a lot of, like
guitar and sing.
chords and singing, but like specific notes. Like if you can play on the guitar and sing at the same time, like because
if you can
that
sing
is
it, you
such
can play
a
it.
useful skill.
Yeah.
For
it's
composing,
like being able to run two tracks in your mind at the same time.
And I even now I'm just still like getting started on that. I'm kind of forcing myself to relearn the guitar. I started learning like guitar when I was like 12 or 13 or whatever. And then basically I learned about punk rock, and I'm like, oh, I'll just do that. I'll just stick with punk rock. And now flash forward, 30 years. And I'm like,
to be fair,
I wish I was better at guitar.
I'd trade you for piano, man.
To be fair,
I would trade it all for drums. If I could just be.
Because then you'd be in like 8 bands.
Yeah, exactly.
so
If I
many
could
bands.
be just the drummer for all the bands.
YVR's drummer.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Yeah. But I do think that the nice thing about the piano is actually I did remember my slight tangent off to the
great.
RCM was that they do have a more modern selection
Yeah.
nowadays. So you actually do get a really cool like a nice spectrum of like, okay, this is some super old music, but it's also where the piano started. Originally the harpsichord, and then all the way to like Canadian composers as well. So love that they include some CanCon, because who would we be with if we didn't have like at least a little bit of CanCon?
Yeah.
We joke about that at our sing-along night that we haven't sang a Canadian artist
Oh,
in
we
a
haven't
little
even
while.
got to that yet. We haven't even got
That's
to the
gonna be our
sing-along
segue. That's
night.
gonna be our
Yeah.
segue. So the instruments that we do teach include piano for both like jazz composition, improvisation, like writing, songwriting through piano, which is I think, and I've had a few students now who've started on piano. And then they abandoned me. No, I'm just kidding. They went and became singers or guitar and like singer-songwriters. And I'm fine with not teaching voice because you know what? We have lots of great voice teachers at the studio and in the world. And I think it is a great foundational skill. Just like the guitar. I think if you can learn piano and the guitar, you're set. You're like, I know it sounds like this is
You can
crazy a
learn the
lot.
piano and the guitar and singing and drums. And that's all you need.
That's all you need. I mean, once you've learned
Just those four simple
Once you've
things.
learned one instrument, I mean,
Yeah.
how hard is it to learn it? No, but it is a bit like languages. You can start to understand how the other ones work because the building blocks are all there. So
Yeah, that's when because I got like a online Udemy course on piano,
Ooh.
and it was just like, God damn it, their chords are so much easier. Like, I got the palsy.
Yeah. And it's like each note of the chord is just like the next note of
You
the
just-
chord. It's
yeah.
not like
There's that like the black and notes all. It's like
Yeah, the
more
black
like
and white
math.
notes.
Like it's
Yeah.
like, oh wow, now I get how music is math. Not like before, where it's like
music is shapes.
The music is shapes. Yeah, this is geometry. It's like, no, it's not.
As a technical guy, this is not working for me.
Yeah. It's very much just maths. Yeah, algebra. So we got the piano, we got brass instruments. My cunning plan for this year is to try and get a little brass ensemble together in the tradition of the Canadian brass, which I think I want to say we'll have to check this up, but I want to say they were out of Ontario. They had a little peak sometime in the 90s. I maybe even later. And they did a lot of Christmas music. Think like the Salvation Army's little brass band, but they were not affiliated as far as I know. But it was really fun to hear the your boom 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 on your euphonium or your low end, the sousaphone if you were lucky. And then
If you're lucky.
your trombones, which fun fact, do more than just womp womp womp. There's way more sounds that the trombone can
Oh,
play.
I know. I watched Star Trek: The Next Generation. It was
Yeah.
Riker played.
Yes.
He made it sexy.
Oh my god. I mean, Riker made just everything sexy. Let's be
sitting
real.
in a chair.
Oh yes. Oh my god. That leotard that they had for the first season or two. That was an unfortunate wardrobe choice, but I get it. It was the style of times. And then we've got the high brass as well, the trumpet, which was my main instrument through jazz band and other such things and concert bands and such. And then we do have a sax and a clarinet teacher. So 2 different people, but we do like beginner saxophone. And a lot of kids in band need a
Oh,
little
isn't
help.
the technical term bendy sex whistle?
Yes, actually, you're right.
You gotta change our website.
Yeah. Maybe we'd get some more signups for it
Bendy
too.
sex whistle.
Like, I don't know what this is, but I want it. So
I mean, if you get a 6-pack and you can play the saxophone,
Saxophone.
I'm sure you could just go to like Wreck Beach and get laid.
that's
You can
happening.
just show up outside anyone's house and just start.
It's just
We'll
like,
just let you in. Get in here.
Yeah. One song, you're like, you're in. You're coming. And
Just make your way down the street,
Street.
serenading.
So I have 2 questions at the
Yeah.
same time.
Okay.
Why don't you teach bagpipes, and why do you hate the Scottish?
How dare you, sir? Number 1, there's already a stronghold on bagpipe teaching.
Oh, is there like a bagpipe mafia?
I'm on. There might be. I don't want to say it
Actually,
too
yes.
loud. Actually,
Don't
yes.
make us break up the
At
haggis.
at the Cambrian Hall, they do like a bagpipe like group. I don't know if it's a class. More of it might just be like a gathering. But yeah, I went.
Sounds dangerous.
We do our recital there at the Cambrian Hall, and I went to pick up the key, and they said they were doing their like Christmas bagpipe event, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you should come back for that." And I was like, luckily I already had something booked.
I have
Just
plans.
remember, that was the instrument they used to terrify their enemies at war.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am unashamed to say that I really like the bagpipes. I think
I
they're
love 'em.
super cool. And I did graduate from Simon Fraser University, who had their pipe band at the time. I believe they won some prestigious like pipe band award, but it like international. So they were the first group from somewhere outside of Scotland. Maybe at the Edinburgh Tattoo. I don't know if that is too important and they wouldn't have been invited, or maybe it was just important enough. They were just good enough that they made it in. But I remember that being a big thing in the 2000s. I want to say 2004, 2005. But we would hear them. And if you've ever been up on the hill, especially on like a slightly like, well, let's be real, it's cloudy day. It feels like you're in fog, but it's just clouds. It's just that you're in the clouds. And then the pipe band would be practicing, and you'd be like, "Is that bagpipes, or am I going crazy?"
No, it's the
No,
wail of the dead.
it could be. It could be. Some days you're like, I don't know. But I love them. We don't teach them. Talking about instruments that are way too loud for an indoor space. Oh my Lord.
We'd have to get that guy that's at Waterfront Station.
The one
with
that's on the
ones that
giant feet.
He built
Yeah.
the legs that he pumps up and he plays the bagpipes.
Yeah.
But he would probably get tired having to teach a lesson because he's just standing around.
Actually, he could do 2 lessons in one. He'd be like, "All right, you're working on your calf muscle strength
Yeah.
by doing the steps ups, and while I teach you how to play the
He
chord."
can do personal training and
Yeah,
bagpipes.
and bagpipes.
I just love how like you go from piano, it's like it's math, and
Yeah.
like, math, and, guitar, which is like shapes,
Yeah.
and then bagpipes, chaos.
There's one thing.
Terrify your enemy.
Yeah, terrify your enemies.
Terror and chaos.
Yeah. There's one thing I hope that I'd love to do. You're invited, by the way.
Oh,
You
great.
can come too if you want. But I want to go to the Edinburgh Tattoo. So I have family in Scotland. My dad lives near Edinburgh. He is Canadian, but
Wait, for people who don't know, what is another version of a tattoo?
Yeah, I love tattoos. I got like 8 of them.
Yeah, so not the tattoo in the sense of I have ink on my body, but a tattoo is in it's like the military meaning of it. And then so you get together and like you do marches and you do like sequences with groups of people is the best way I could describe it. There might have an official term. I don't know. I was never in the cadets. But all the pipe bands come from the
Okay.
different counties and different areas.
A lot of military pipes and drums fans. I may know a bit about that.
They may know a bit about that. Excellent.
Is that would people like do tattoos while they're at the tattoo?
I
And that's
don't
why
think so.
tattoo
No,
became the
they're
word?
like
No?
even people who go to the tattoos would probably be, some of them will be down with tattoos, but some of them would also be like way too starchy for that stuff.
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know,
I know
how.
because a lot of military people would
Yeah,
have a tattoo.
Yes,
especially
yes, we do.
Navy,
Trooper.
but yeah, I don't know how the two. That maybe that'll be an interesting thing to look up. I'll look it up
Google.
later.
If I was like cool, like
If you're watching this on YouTube, you can pause it
Angry
Pause
and
it
go
now.
Google search
leave an angry
and then
comment
come
below.
back and tell us what the hell we're talking about.
Enlighten us. Why are there 2 tattoos?
And if you can use the Scottish accent font,
Yes.
so we
Oh,
know
yeah.
Right,
you're
yeah.
an angry Scot at us.
Even better. Even better. I'll get the extended family in on this, and maybe they can have some comments.
Fair. No, that's fair.
Yeah. So love the bagpipes. Don't hate Scotland. You don't have to
Yeah.
come for us. We're all friends here. But we don't teach them because, Lord have mercy, that
Mostly it's just
super complicated.
So
mostly
loud.
it's just never come up.
Also,
Yeah.
don't teach neurosurgery.
We also don't do
If
that.
if we had like 2 or 3 times a week people asking us, "Okay, I really want to do bagpipes," eventually
I mean, we will.
we'd have to start it after hours. But,
It's a bit like at the sing along night. We will never refuse at least one time to
gotta
try
try
it.
it.
We gotta try it. But yeah, so it doesn't come up a lot. There's probably a mafia or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. If we can't come back because we've mysteriously disappeared on this
If
to the show.
the guy from Waterfront Station, if he hears you practicing, he'll run into your house and smash your bagpipes.
You're just probably like they'll show up and drink all your beer.
Yeah, maybe that'll be They're like, consider yourself
Warned.
punished. Yeah, warned. I'd be like, Message received. Message received.
I didn't know we had beer in the fridge.
Yeah, also.
When I was in high school, I listened to Korn a lot, and they featured the bagpipe.
It is
prominently.
interesting where they do
probably
crop up
the last modern band that had a bagpipe that I know
of that
anyway.
genre. Yeah.
Okay, as music teachers, if someone has had the New Year's resolution of
Yeah.
learning an image, what's the easiest instrument to learn?
Probably your voice because you take it with you wherever you go.
Totally a cheat. Give me something better than that.
I mean,
I guess
it is an
the
instrument.
ukulele has the least number of notes. on
Okay,
it.
I'm gonna be real with you though. This is,
Oh,
and you
thank you,
saxophone
real.
people are gonna come for me, and that is okay. But you and I both know that your instrument was designed to be easy to play.
It's sexy.
Also,
I mean,
extremely sexy, as mentioned
Easy and-
earlier.
easy and sexy.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's exactly no complaints, but
Really? I
so
would
it
not
is.
look at the saxophone
don't-
and think easy.
But the idea is like, so for example, the trumpet, there's 3 valves that you press. And you just have to like through the air pressure and those 3 valves. So you change basically how long the tubing is. So if you think, harken your mind back to
hearkening.
a time. We'll do something fun with the like,
Yeah.
when you had those like long 4-foot long tubes with like the little
Flugelhorn.
banners. No.
Oh.
Even
Oh, yeah.
further back. And the
Okay.
or like,
Yeah.
let's see. Wait, let's just have a little gag here.
Oh.
We can the teeny tiny version.
Oh my God, you brought props?
Yeah, but not like
So imagine
kazoo.
this, but it's like 8 feet long.
Man, I wish I could like pull out a ukulele.
Yeah. And then they took that and they bent it
They
into a
bent it
circle.
around because honestly, have you tried getting on a bus with 4 feet of tubing? It's unwieldy. So
I'm an indie filmmaker. Of course I have.
of course I am. Who hasn't? So they took that and they're like, we're gonna bend it around, but then you got like 3 valves. Because that was all I guess you needed. But your embouchure, your air pressure, that's how you got your range, the overtone series. So the notes, your lowest note, and then there's like a specific distance that same sort of, you can go up by this valve, then here, and slowly but surely you get closer and closer together where you don't need any valves and you can play every single note in the scale. Very
Maybe it's that I get drunk off 2 beers now, but that did sound a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
That's why
There's a lot going on in a trumpet.
That's why when someone was like, I'm going to create, because there was a time, I love it. There was so many instruments getting invented, like early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s, man, to be alive in that time. All those World's Fairs, people were like, I created something. Great, let's try it. You might die, but let's try. So they had this, and they're like, I'm going to put a finger number, like a selection of valves for every note. That's very logical. Like, why would this valve be like 6 different notes? This means like 5 or 6 different things, depending on how low or high you are. No, you just, this is fingering, this is fingering. This makes good sense. So allegedly, it was designed to be sort of an easier, more logical instrument to play.
And sexier.
And 100%.
That might have
sexier.
come later, though.
It's like, what's the Lost Boys movie with like the dude with the
Yeah.
So what you're saying is
yeah.
that if I start like I was so close to a 6-pack before, I want it. Oh.
You're
We're gonna have to end
this
the
much beer left
Yeah,
for
we're
all
gonna have to
three
end
of
the
us.
beer soon. We're out of beer, but
yeah.
like so what you're saying is like, oh man, I was so close to having a 6-pack before I got getting hit by a car. If I started going to the gym as hard as I could again today and started doing saxophone, by the summer I'd be ready to be running around playing topless saxophone.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should end the video with that song.
Yeah.
they're like,
Instead of like a little bugle. Which is a totally different instrument, by the way. It's not a trumpet. I don't teach bugle. I teach trumpet.
But I do think in some ways that like the piano and the guitar are among the easier instruments, and that's why they're so popular. Like, especially on guitar, like you can, as I mentioned before, just learn power chords and play Ramones punk rock.
And you don't have to
Like,
learn music.
well, you don't even have to learn power chords. Like I learned guitar, and it was like I took music education in university.
Oh, I love that.
And it was so funny because it's like I'm like I like my friend was like, you got to take this course. I'm like, dude, I don't know how to play guitar. He's like, that's the point of it. It's for like grade 3 teachers who need to play an instrument for the kids to play along. And so I joined this course, and I'm like, we're all like adults, like 19 years old.
Yeah.
And I come in, we're like, this is a G chord,
Mhm.
Brang. And it's funny because I'm like sitting next to the girl next to me. And I'm like, didn't I see you at my friend's punk gig last night on stage? She's like, shh.
This
That's
is an
not
easy
even-
A
yeah.
for me.
Because
Yeah.
on paper it was like education 303, and she was like going to be yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you get an A in a third-year education course. That's like your GPA for going for your master's. It's so funny to look at her because like later that same first class, he's like, and if I find out anybody actually knows how to play guitar, you're out.
Yeah.
And she's like, so yeah,
Listen,
no, it
it's
was
just
really great.
punk, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kidding. There's
Just punk
talent.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great raw energy in punk bands, but
And
we do like to laugh.
open chords are better or easier than
Yeah,
than bar chords or power
Yeah.
chords. Sorry.
Well, power chords are just like the 3 notes, but they're also limited then because they don't have like the major or minor tone to them.
Sound is good. Like I mean, I'm not. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know much about music, but like a good open.
They're not complete chords.
Yeah.
Yeah, the power chords.
If you want a good sad chord, you want like a sad E minor
exactly.
chord.
Yeah.
You want a minor chord, yeah. That's how I teach the major and minors, and people are like, kids are like, I'm 7. What the heck
But
is a major
the
or minor?
The E minor only needs 2 fingers.
Only
so
two
you
fingers.
can you can be sad all day and only need
And
those
that's what I
2.
teach them. Like, if you
Very
have-
appropriate for 2025.
If you've
Yeah.
spilt your milk and you're having a sad day, you can choose a minor chord. And if you're having a great day, you can use a major chord. And the kids are like, all right, if you say so. And I'm like, excellent. And then I'm like, but then the kids, there's always one kid who's like, but why? And then I look at them and I'm like, I'm having it as existential. I don't know why. Why did we decide that minor chords are like sad and angsty
Just
and major chords are like life is good, you
it's
know?
just it literally
It
just
just
comes
is.
down to that's the way it is. You
Yes.
play it and it sounds sad and there's
There's, you
nothing
know,
more to it than
it's like,
that.
oh,
Just
this
feel like the universe runs on math that even we
Yeah.
don't understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's the way the things resonate together and then it vibrates in our bodies. Like, is that why? I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, if we got a whiteboard out and started calculating, we might be able to figure out why a minor chord is sad.
Yeah,
We
let's
can
hear
get
it.
some kind of ratio,
Yeah.
but
Magic.
that's not
Mhm.
quite what we're in.
Yeah.
at the moment.
So I think generally the answer would be for easiest instrument is if you just do a wind-based instrument, i.e. a clarinet or a trumpet or a trombone, you only need to learn to play a single note at a time because, of course, there is only one of your mouth to make the sounds.
Unless you're really weird.
Unless somehow you managed, there are people out there with like 2 trumpets, or 2
2
saxophones.
saxophones.
Yeah, 2 saxophones. I'm like, those people have way too much time, but also love it. It makes it a little easier because you just have to do that like one thing at a time, but it doesn't sound as complete as if you're going to learn like a ukulele or a piano or a guitar, where you can play multiple sounds at the same time. Polyphony, if you will.
Ooh.
If you will.
Whoa, that was a big word.
That's
Yeah.
a big word. Hopefully I used it in the right context. People are like, she's a hack. Thought you went to music school. I didn't.
So we are out of beer though.
Oh,
So I'm
tragedy.
gonna ask you to show off your new coin.
Oh, would
yeah.
love to.
Yeah, so I got
Between
I
Two
just to that
Pints.
camera. Yeah, probably won't do a close up or something, but I got little challenge coins now for guests, so you can prove it, and then you meet other people at bars because so many people are going to be on my podcast in the future. Yeah. Also, because I brew alcohol, you can trade them in at a later date for 1 liter of alcohol. That's hopefully viewers will watch that and then want to be on the.
And then they'll want to be, you should come on.
Excellent. Yeah.
So, well, great. Thanks for having us.
But final thing, like
Ooh.
plug Pleasant Mountain Music.
yeah.
Yes.
Tell them everything they need to know.
Are you,
we are Pleasant Mountain Music, conveniently located at Granville and Broadway in the South Granville neighborhood of Vancouver, across from the future SkyTrain station. We do private lessons on all the instruments. We do group classes. We got drop-in events, karaoke parties, all kinds of
Sing-along
fun
nights.
stuff. Oh yeah, we haven't got to sing-along night yet.
we're going to have to come back. That'll be part 2.
You will.
Sing-along night.
I might be able to drag my cameras out to be there.
Ooh, nice.
Because I don't really want audiences to see me sing because I need a couple. I need.
Well,
more.
everyone's going to be singing on the
So
sing-along.
it's,
And I can cut away from me because I'm editing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You can go back to being behind the camera.
Thank God. I did not do a podcast because I wanted to be. In the
Yeah, I did not want to be on
camera.
camera. We teach every level of study between the total complete, I don't even know what music is, very beginner, the young student, the older adult. I've got a retiree joining my roster this year.
Working professionals.
Working professionals.
Yeah.
We've got
So
advanced students.
Our other owner, Chersey, actually has students who are working professionals. Like they're getting booked on musicals. We had two kids that were in Theater Under the Stars this summer.
Wow.
One that was at the Stanley Christmas show last season.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like
film, television, stage.
Film and TV kids.
And just music enthusiasts. You know, if you just love music, you don't have to perform to love music and want to learn how to do it. So
if anyone ever told you that you're not good enough to take lessons, which a lot of people come up to us and say, like, someone told me I'm not good enough to learn. I'm like, that's
duty.
That's duty. Yeah. Anyone can learn.
Crummy.
Yeah. I guess if it's someone who's like an expert teacher and they only want to teach like advanced students,
you wouldn't be good enough for them.
Yeah. But I mean, anyone can learn to play an instrument if you put the time in and you're interested in it.
And we're fun. We have a good time. People seem to like us.
Yeah.
Come check us out. We'd love to have you.
PleasantMountainMusic.ca and also at Pleasant Mountain Music on Instagram.
Amazing, guys. We would cheers and cut, but this is why I need to find a sponsor so we can get some free beer. And then, like, these shows are going to get a lot drunker. All right, now before we go anywhere, and I may keep this in the episode because I always forget to do social media.
Oh yeah.